Hey, what up, y'all? It is. Oh, we got the graphics and everything going real fast. Hold on about that. Yeah, as you can tell, we're running our fun superflex. Myself and Jesse Romero. How you doing, Jesse?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Excited. This is our last one before the combine. So this may be different next week, depending on who rises and who drops during the combine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's gonna be interesting to see like next week as we get into the combine and all fun stuff and all these values change.
Hmm.
As we see, we get Caleb. Interestingly enough, we have Drake May going 2, and then Jaden Daniels is still on the board at pick 5. Like I personally find that very interesting. How do you feel about that start so far?
Very, very interesting. I get it because I think prior to before Jaden Daniels' blow up season, people had Drake May as QB2 too, so it
Mhm.
makes sense there. But a lot of things have changed since then. I mean, he's my like QB5, I think.
Yeah.
But the interesting one is also Malik Neighbors went as the auto pick, so I think it was between Jaden Daniels and Marvin Harrison, but I'm probably taking wide receiver one there.
Yeah.
So you're going Marvin Harrison, which at 4 I think is a steal if he drops there.
Yeah, and particularly like if you have them above the quarterbacks, like you should take those guys. Like
Yeah.
I'm personally like I always chase the quarterbacks, especially the elite guys. Like,
Right.
and I get it with Daniels, he has a high ceiling, but
Right.
it's very similar to Justin Fields coming out, where like
Hmm.
these very long plays, and he
Hmm.
takes a ton of sacks. So like there is that concern, but overall, like I'm just gonna chase the upside. I don't follow anyone for going those
So,
two truly elite wide receivers right there.
so one of Bowers, interesting at 5 and Jaden at 6, Thomas at 7.
That's
So see,
interesting.
this is where I think the top 6. We've said it for a time that the top 6 is the top 6. Like in
Mhm.
any way you do it, those are the top 6 guys you're looking at. So then Thomas over Odunze. I have Odunze at 107, and then your choice of Brian Thomas and Troy Franklin here. So I mean, I'm going Odunze. I think that's I could have gone Troy Franklin. I just think Odunze may get a little bit better draft capital. Thus, he may get more opportunity at the beginning of the season, at least. I do love Troy Franklin, though, but I think I would go Odunze if he dropped there.
Yeah, Aaron, I have no idea how you're controlling the mock, but you are. So if you're watching this, Aaron, can you pause it after each round for us? We would very much appreciate that. We can recap all of those. But yeah, for me, like this pick's really interesting because
Yeah.
you could go Troy Franklin. I'm still not 100% sold on Troy Franklin. Like I like him, but if we're getting this consistent hype on JJ McCarthy, if he's going to be a top 15 like pick, which it seems like he is at this point,
Yeah.
like I said before, I'm going to take the quarterback because I have concerns about both of these guys. Like Franklin, I'm not. He's not a complete wide receiver. Like there are some issues in his game, and JJ
Yeah.
McCarthy's more of a mystery box. So if I'm choosing between quarterback and a wide receiver, and like it's kind of a split decision, which it is here, I'm just going to default to the quarterback who's going to get the draft capital because it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to move off of that quarterback than the wide receiver if they both don't hit right away. So
Right.
like I think there's safety in going the quarterback over the wide receiver at 109.
That's right. And if he goes top 15, I think that automatically puts him into the top 7, maybe top 6, and you're kicking out
Mm-hmm.
Bowers in that top 6 if he goes top 15. Even though Bowers may go top 7, right? I still think in a super flex league, you're definitely going the quarterback that got the draft capital over a tight end. So,
Yeah,
but
like
then,
the Bauer stuff is weird because
yeah,
ever since that photo with Gronk, like people
yeah,
are like, "Oh, he's small." It's like we knew this the entire time with him.
yeah. And I think with Bowers too, he's showing that like if he drops to 70 because 4 quarterbacks go in the top 6, then you gotta smash that though. I think that's a generational tight end where you gotta go get that and make sure you're getting the moves there. I mean, tight end 1 over wide receiver, what would it be? Maybe 4 or 5, and quarterback 5. So Bo Nix and Trey Benson. I think going at that Bo Nix is smart. I look at Tankathon a lot for mock drafts, and they have Bo Nix going to the Patriots in the second round. If he goes within the top 30, not 35, top 40 picks, I think it's safe to get him in the first round. Trey Benson, that's my RB1, so I'm not mad at him being the first running back off the board.
Yeah, I think like we can recap this draft a little bit. Like we had the two
Mhm,
quarterbacks going out, 1-2, Caleb and Drake May.
mhm,
The elite wide receivers that everyone has 1-2 pretty much.
mhm,
Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, Bowers because it's tight end premium. I get it, it's 105. Like
mhm.
he's the most elite tight end prospect we've had coming out. Like I loved Kyle Pitts, but the production profile of Bowers is just absurd. We got my guy Jane Daniels 106. Then we have back-to-back wide receivers, Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, which I don't know why Thomas went ahead of Odunze, but that's a whole other discussion. So you basically Odunze fell in your lap 107.
Yeah.
I get 108. I got McCarthy at 109, and then we have Franklin at 110 to Jeremy, and
Mhm.
then Bo Nix out of Oregon rounding it out, and Trey Benson, he's a really good running back, rounds out the first round. So I think
Now,
It's a pretty good spot.
With Bowers in a tight end premium, is there any way you take him 103 overall because it's tight end premium?
Ooh. So like, it's very hard when you get these truly elite like wide receivers, which Harrison and Neighbors are. Like I feel much safer with their ability to produce than I do with a Bowers, just because we don't know where he's going to end up and like what his role is going to be. Like I have an idea, but I don't know if the NFL teams are going to be able to use him as effectively as we want. So that's just because NFL teams like they know more about like how to use wide receivers a lot more effectively than tight ends. Like
right.
So that's just my main concern with Bowers. I don't think I would, but he's in the discussion for sure in tight end premium. I'm still gonna, if it's super flex, still gonna take the quarterbacks ahead of him. But yeah,
that's true.
It's 103. Like you can make a case for sure.
And people in our sleeper chat here are talking about how they love the Brandon Thomas over Odunze. I'm not mad at that. I think that's a pretty nice pick. I think we talked about too, when you get to that second tier, there's a bunch of them right there, right? So, I mean, we had Keon Coleman go 201 and Xavier Wardy 202. That's included in that bunch of 5. You can throw in Adonai Mitchell there as well if you need to. But that bunch is there, right? It's just pick your favorite in a sense to me.
100%. Like it's like we had Shipley go in this auto pick, so that's more computer because I haven't like heard anyone having Shipley as like the RB1 or 2. Like he's kind of fallen out of favor for most. So I think that's more just the computer. But like you see, this is like we talk about all the time. This is the running back range where the run on running backs goes.
Yeah,
basically 203 right in that spot where those wide receivers clear out. It's just people are going to hammer running backs.
Yeah, so it's to me at 208. We had 4 running backs go in the last 5 picks. One of them is not Bucky Irving, who is very tempting here. But also, you've talked about super flex leagues and that quarterback value. If Bucky doesn't hit, like you mentioned, I think the quarterback could gain a little more hype. And I think this guy's a second-round quarterback, probably top 50, 55. So I'm going Michael Penix here. I'm not necessarily in love with that pick, but in that case, I think that value just holds a little bit more. But I think you're going Bucky here, maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I love Bucky. So my one concern with Bucky is like I'm not convinced he gets the draft capital. So like I can see like realistically, like, I can see Lloyd going ahead of him. I can see Esteem going ahead of him. He's a bigger back who like I know people are kind of down on him, but like the more you watch his tape, he kind of pops for me around a lot of these guys. So if they're all getting the draft capital, like they're all going day 2, then yeah, I'll take Bucky. But with the uncertainty, like I might pivot to another running back or wide receiver. Under the premise of them getting like the day 2 draft capital, yeah, I'm gonna take Bucky just because I think has the higher chance of hitting that high end range of outcomes. The floor is lower with him though, just because it's smaller back.
I think with him, if he goes to top 4, because even day 2 draft capital is like, man, you're making the end of the third. So if he goes in the top 4 rounds, I think he's safe to take 208 or above. 209, I think that's a steal where you get him. But if it's round 5 or something, that's where I start getting concerned. Because then I'm like, okay, NFL teams are a little out on him too. So top 4, we've seen it. We saw Dameon Pierce come out and have that good year. I think he can definitely have that good year. So I think he's safe there. But I think in the back end of the second, I think that's a steal, really. I mean, yeah. I think that's a great pick.
Why I like the day 2 draft capital is just because it gives him a higher floor because teams are going to force him on the field more. If he's in like the Kyron Williams role, like it's late day 3, it's a whole different discussion, and then he needs to actually prove himself. So like I think it's the discussion around him changes. But why don't you recap round 2 for us?
So round 2, 201 with Keon Coleman, 202 Xavier Wardy. We said that, and the running back run begins. Will Sipley 203, Blake Corum 204, Adonai Mitchell 205, Braden Allen 206, Jonathan Brooks 207. I got Michael Penix at 208. You went 209, Bucky Irving. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs and 7 picks there. That was a nice little run for him. Roman Wilson 210, I think could be a huge steal because he's possibly someone that goes in round 2. We'll see. Jatavian Sanders 211. I'm also going a lot higher on him, especially on tight end premium. I think that's great. And then Malachi Corley 212. I think here's where we get into the questions of which wide receiver are you starting to take now. I really love Malachi Corley, but I think the draft will play a huge effect in these next wide receivers that are coming off the board and their capital that they get.
Yeah, the guy that's standing out to me right now is Lad McConkey because he's getting steamed up massively going into the draft where people are talking about him being a round 1 wide receiver. Now I I don't think that's going to be the case, but there's a range of outcomes where that happens. So like we could see him going early, like in this range of like 110 to 201. Like we could see that. And of course, Aaron takes him because
at
Aaron's
301
low enough value. Yeah, exactly.
If he comes out in the combine and runs what, like a 4.4 or something, like a high 4.3 even, like it just expect massive hype, and he's just gonna go out every drop board.
Right.
Okay, so round 3 we had McConkey, Esteem, Milton, Travis. Travis is interesting. Jordan Travis 3-4, Jalen Polk, Devontae Walker, and Spencer Rattler. Oh, here. So I have my quarterback. I have a wide receiver. I really like Lloyd. Right now, that is my RB2 is Marshawn Lloyd. I have Ray Davis there too.
It's tough, man. It's a tough pick.
Yeah. Man. I think I gotta go Lloyd. I mean, in this, you go around 3. I think you're going off your personal rankings at that point. Yeah, the draft and all that matters, but at this point, we've mentioned it before. Maybe a guy that we didn't expect going round 2 ends up going late in your rookie round 3s. But for me, I think I'm going off my rankings, and if my RB2 is still on the board, I mean, to me, that's a steal then at 308. So
yeah, that's absolute smash. I think like getting whoever your RB2 is this late in the draft, no matter who it is, like say if it's someone else, like we talked about with Ray Davis, like just getting that guy you have highly ranked there, like you got to take the hit on it. It's particularly with running backs, right? Because there's an easier path for them to produce fantasy production than there is wide receiver, because there's only 90% of the time there's one running back on the field, right? So like if they're on the field, they're gonna get touches. But
100%.
I think this is that tier of wide receiver where it's basically grab a guy. Like I love McMillan and I love Pearsall. Those are like my 2 guys in this range who I consistently take. Like, and then there's Cowing, who I'm higher on, but he always falls later, so I'm like gonna save him for the next round. But there's a ton of guys here, like Brenner. Oh shoot, I gotta pick. I'll take Pearsall because I'll sound out. But yeah, I think both of them are like. I really like Pearsall's game. Like I think he's a slot plus player, and McMillan's another guy. Like Washington, he seems like he's getting slept on because of his injury. And if he wasn't injured, like I think he'd be going a lot earlier. But hey, I'm all for the value on that pick.
I think when it's all said and done, we might see McMillan in a lot of round 2s of rookie drafts. I think, like you said, people just forgot about him, and I think once the rookie drafts come around, it's gonna be like, oh snap, I forgot this guy was here. I was too busy looking at Ladd McConkey, but here we go. This guy's still good. So
yeah, like you can get him right there. Oh, and Ryan takes Cowing at 311, so I'm a little bummed on that one, but such is life.
Yeah. We're rolling here. 2 tight ends off the board in round 4 with Sanat and AJ Barner. Jalen Wright stepped on that. The 4th round pick. That's a huge steal too. He may be a day 3 draft guy, but that's a huge pick in the 4th round that I love.
Yes, Snipe Jeremy. That's what's up. That's what's up. But yeah, it's like Jalen Wright is getting, and I think a lot of people are finally getting to him as a player because let's be real, not many people are watching Tennessee tape. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird, funky offense and things of that nature. But like, he offers a skill set that is unique. I do question his ceiling. Like, I think he's going to be like a limited touch player at the NFL level. But like, he's got some fun skills that he could hit and work out just right for him. So I think getting him there in the 4th round, like you literally can't complain with anybody taking the 4th round. The 4th round's full of just busts all over the place. So like getting your guy here, way to go every time.
Now here's very interesting because quarterback wise, Michael Pratt, I would have taken Pratt over Milton and Travis, arguably Rattler too. So that's very tempting to go 408 with him. But I also like the wide receivers. The top ones are Leggett, McMillan, and Brendan Rice here. So based on where my team is right now, I think I'm going Brendan Rice. I just think he did show some things at the Senior Bowl there where it looked great. So Combine could change things too, again, as we were saying. But I think that if he goes to you in the 4th round, that's a steal because I have him going mid-3rd at least. So I think just make that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Leggett's a guy that, depending on who you talk to, some people are high, some people aren't. But the fact he's still here with McMillan is very surprising to me. Just basically on how I expect drafts to play out. And Aaron talks about Dylan Johnson. I think he's a guy no one's really talking about, but he's a good running back. He doesn't have the most juice in the world, but I think he offers a good skill set that where he can be an NFL back, like part of a committee and play a role. So like getting Dylan Johnson here would be a good pick. And obviously, I'm in Washington. I see the Washington team a lot, so I'm closer to them than most people. Yeah. Personally, I'm just going to take the guy who I have as a top 10 wide receiver in this draft class. That's Jalen McMillan. Like we talked about him taking him last rounds, getting him here in the 4th round, just like stupid value. And like you could look at a lot of these other guys.
Make sure you draft.
McMillan.
Okay. I saw a clock ticking down there.
Yeah, I'm,
No,
I'm
but
running it down.
no, yeah, but I agree. I think that's smart. I mean, back to back. I mean, that was the other wide receiver I was looking at taking. Leggett, you could have taken there too, but when Brendan Rice and McMillan are both on the board, I think those guys are those guys you need to
Yeah,
take.
and I'm with Aaron. I prefer McMillan over Polk, but like I do like Polk as well too. I think that trio wide receiver, Husky wide receiver room was very very talented.
Right.
And
Over
then there
these
goes
two.
Dylan Love. Yep.
Dylan Lawberry, man, hope he goes out there and balls. He's definitely a shot, but I mean that's someone he can definitely show seems what he has. He could have that juice, and sometimes you
Mhm.
just need that one season to get the extra hype, right? And then to sell him for higher. So
Yeah, I want him to just show out at the combine so like a team draft him. That's all I really hope. Like
yeah.
because undrafted free agents is so much harder. Just
Yeah.
somebody draft him so he has a shot to make a roster and make a play. Like I think he offers a good skill set for the NFL.
That was me with Bryce Ford Whedon last year. No one drafted him. I was like, man, this guy has the skill set though, and it's hard. I mean, he got hurt and stuff, and now he's on my
Mm-hmm.
taxi just waiting, but he was on IR all season anyway.
Well, yeah, he's
So
a human too. That's a
yeah.
big boy right there. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I get it, like this late in the draft. So let's recap the fourth round here. We got Sanat, tight end, who's very much going to be a pro caliber like NFL tight end. He might not be fantasy asset, but like he's going to be playing a long time in the league.
Right.
Jalen Wright, the running back out of Tennessee, who's getting some hype. We have AJ Bonner here, the tight end out of Michigan, who I've been hearing some steam on him lately. We have the Johnny Wilson, the wide receiver, who a lot of us fully expect to be a tight end at the next level. Getting him right there, like that's a good path to success. We got Jermaine Burton, the burner out of Alabama. Kate Stover, back to back with Theo Johnson here, the tight ends. And then we have Brendan Rice, Jalen McMillan, the two wide receivers who theoretically could go a lot higher, like after the combine NFL draft.
Yeah, I think those are steals for us in the fourth round.
I like that. And Dylan Lave, he's a fun little dart throw to throw just because if he hits, like he's got a fun skill set that could translate to fantasy. Xavier Leggett here is wild value at 411 just because his outcomes feels all over the place. But if he gets good draft capital, that's absurd value. And then someone taking Mr. Model himself, Sam Hartman. He might not be an NFL quality quarterback, but man, that guy looks good at like Tipo. He's got the look for sure, right. So he can play that role in Hollywood.
But looking at it, I feel some teams don't like having 5 or even 6 round draft capital, right, in rookie drafts. But if we go to what's left on the team players to choose, you have Michael Pratt, Devin Leary. At least this is on sleeper right now. Not bad. You're also going to throw in Talua Tagovailoa, to his brother there. You have Frank Gore Jr., Jalen McLillan, who I think people are sleeping on, Mayan Williams, Rasheen Ali, Carson Steele, Jawar Jordan, some Cody Schrader, Kamani Vidal, again, sleeper guys, I think. Jamari Thrash, Anais Smith. You have different ones on here that's in sleeper, and they're going to get more as well. But definitely some guys that you could still argue go in the 5th pick. Let's go round by round here. What were the best and worst picks you think, round by round?
So, personally, like I know this is a computer pick, but I'm not taking Brian Thomas over Odunze. Like that's just absurd to me. Like why anybody would do that? Just because, like we're not sure his draft capital. He's not assured. We know Odunze is gonna be a first round pick. We don't know what Thomas and where he ends up. And also he only has 1 year of really production. Like it's a very unique profile. So you have to be very sure to take that pick. I really don't like that value personally. And then on the flip side, getting Jaden Daniels at 106, those two picks back to back. They're flipped where like I would love getting Daniels at 106. I would hate to take Thomas at 107. If I was at 107 and Odunze and all those guys were gone, which one of them's gonna fall, but let's put this scenario out. I want to trade. I want to trade back if I have that Thomas pick, and I'll take him at like 112 or something, right? Like I don't want to take him to the front of that tier. Who are your picks for like in round 2? That kind of the same thing for you.
Man, round 2. If I'm looking at that, I think right now. Probably Keon Coleman. Almost similar things to what you said with Brian Thomas, but I would have definitely taken Core Morty or Adonai Mitchell over Keon Coleman, and that was 201. I think he's was a first round pick, and now I kind of see him sliding. I think he's more of a second round pick now, so that'll be interesting to see. We're second round in NFL, by the way. So that's interesting there, but I think I would have gone one of the Texas wide receivers or even Corum over that. And then the best pick, though. I mean, I think if we go all the way down, Bucky falling to 209, I feel he's consensus top 5 RB for consensus. People have him in different rankings, but top 5 all the way. And you're saying he went RB6, so I think that was the best pick there. So
yeah, I think that's a steal if anybody gets Bucky Irving at that spot. Like I don't expect that to hold up. It's just we just need draft capital. That's all we need. And if he doesn't get the draft capital, then this might be a consideration for people in the late second rounds. Like, hey, do I take a shot on Irving or not?
right.
About 3. When we get to the third round, I think like McConkey stands out just because like the value on him, I fully expect him to be a round earlier this time, like towards the NFL draft. Getting him's a really good value. I also really like your pick of Lloyd. And like I do wonder, like, I don't know why Jordan Travis is going right here to the 304. I know that's computer. So, like, I would hate to take that pick right there. I get it. You're taking a dart throw on quarterback. Maybe he gets draft capital. But we've heard almost nothing that, like, gives us that he's going to get draft capital at all. Like, he might be an undrafted guy at the NFL level. So, I think those 2 picks stand out to me for the third round.
Yeah, the third, I think Travis is an interesting pick, like everything you just said, and especially with Pratt still on there. But speaking of the other quarterback, the computer one, Spencer Rattler at 307, I think he might possibly be the steal out of the draft just entirely, for the NFL team and for you, because he's going to be someone that I don't expect him to start day one, but I do expect him to get some time, and he's not going to let it go if he does get that. I think he definitely improved year over year, and he's someone that I want to watch heavily on draft day.
100%. Like, I think he's kind of the consensus. What is it? QB like 6, I think, in this draft class, where it's like we have the top guys, and then it's kind of he's the next tier where he has that profile coming out. Like he was a high prospect. He was at Oklahoma. He succeeded. It all kind of fell apart, and he's kind of resurrected his career and shown to scouts. It seems like he's an NFL quality quarterback. So I think he's very interesting. In the third round, like I don't mind throwing darts on him because it's the third round. The hit rate's really low with those picks, so swing big. So you might as well swing on Rattler or any one of those guys.
Right. To wrap up this fourth, I think we only saw 4 tight ends go because it's tight end premium and non-tight end premium. I don't maybe Shenault, and I think maybe late fourth you might throw at one of these tight ends, but I don't think all 3 are going in non-tight end premium.
No, I doubt it. Like it's just a lot. Like more than likely, these guys are going to be stuck in tight end rooms where they're the backup or they're like the third string, like the tight end, right? So it's gonna be a hard scenario for these like get on the field and get on. I think Sinaught's the one guy out of this group, and like we've heard some from Stover, but I think Sinaught's the one guy that he could be in like year 1. He could be the starting tight end on an NFL team. I don't know if it's likely, but I think of those tight ends that were taken, I think he's the one guy that happens with.
Right, I agree. And then us, with the stills there, Brendan Rice and McMillan, I think we may see some of those guys going around 2, to be honest. So if we get them around 4, that's a huge steal.
100%. If they get that draft capital, they will be massive risers. So I'm just hoping that happens so the community can join me with like McMillan and those guys. I'm like, here, I was here the whole time, right? So like,
exactly.
Maybe, and then I'll look like an idiot if they didn't get draft capital. But such is life when we play this game. It's you're rolling the dice, hoping it works out. So overall, who's your favorite draft that you like looking at everybody's picks? Who's the one that you'd be like, wow, that's a pretty good draft?
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna be biased and say mine, but I really like mine at that 108 spot. Honestly, between mine, I also do like Team 7. I'm not that, Brian Thomas was the question mark, but then they got Jonathan Brooks, who the ACL is going to scare people off, but if he didn't get hurt, he's the RB1 consensus. Like right now, I don't think there is a consensus RB1. I've seen Benson, I've seen Corum, I've seen Lloyd, I've seen Bucky. I've seen everyone in the RB1 role where Brooks was that arguably one, but he got hurt. Spencer Rattler, I think, is a great steal, and Theo Johnson, tight end premium. So I would say Team 7, the one pick right before me. Within on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Like if you're getting the RB1 207, like that's really hard to pass up, right? And I think the case is most likely that he's the RB1 at this point in time. A lot can change. Like your guy Trey Benson could be the RB1 against draft capital, he goes right situation. It's really going to come down with like this tier of like 10 running backs. It's going to come down to basically who gets draft capital and who goes to a team. Like someone goes to the Cowboys, some situation like that where they're locked in, they're rolling like right away. So interestingly enough, so like that whole tier of running backs from Benson to kind of Irving, you could even throw in Lloyd in there or whatever, but like those 5 or 6 running backs, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all shakes out after the combine and after the NFL draft, because one of them's going to rise, one of them's going to fall. We'll probably have somebody else that will join that party.
I think Braylon Allen is the one to be talked about because I feel early on in the season it's like RB1. Then Henderson dropped out. It's like okay, he's the RB1. Then people are like no. Then you saw Raheem drop out. It's like okay, it's still not. So I think he's someone that is gonna surprise people because he might like if he goes to Dallas, people are gonna eat that up, and there's gonna be like oh he's the RB1, or whatever it may be. So I think Braylon Allen is the guy to watch because I think he has the most significant way to jump up. As an
100%.
RB,
Like
especially
it's
because he
like
could be 20, I think.
oh yeah, he's a baby. And
Yeah.
like interestingly enough, this time of the year, that name cachet carries weight. So like for interesting, if you put Allen, who people know and they're familiar with because he was a producer early on in his whole time in college, he gets that landing spot in the draft capital, like it's through the moon. And I would probably tell people to sell at that point just because I'm not a big Braylon Allen believer. But like overall, like there's an easy path where you see his value rising. Like it just immediately skyrocket where he's like a top 15, top 12 dynasty running back.
Oh yeah, especially because at Utah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up on this this fun little mock draft we did. We're gonna I know we're talking about doing an IDP mock draft later of the week, so come check that out. We're gonna have more of these mock drafts just continuing through. We're gonna combine starting this week, so we'll be covering the combines. Hopefully come check that out. But yeah, so anyways, thanks for coming joining us. Sorry, you want to wrap it up, my daughter?
Oh yeah. Thanks for joining us. If you are watching at home, please follow us and subscribe, like, comment, subscribe at the Fantasy Football Universe on YouTube, at the FFU Universe on X. Go ahead and give us a follow. We're posting our articles and these videos here. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram as well. But stay tuned because a lot's coming as we're getting closer to the draft.